Welcome back, everybody. Game number 3 out of 4 is about to begin. FNATIC versus Reject, all Japanese matchup that we get to see here in APAC North. Welcome back to the desk. I'm Milosh the Medic. This is Jack and Fabian on the other side of the desk. Jack, let's talk about FNATIC. What's up with them?
Do you know what FNATIC remind me of, Milosh?
No.
They remind me of cryptocurrency. Had the good times a few years ago, crashing right now, but long term might be set up for future success.
And still somehow have believers.
Yeah, exactly. Still somehow have believers. And I'm a believer of this roster. I know it's not going well right now. I know it's not going well. Trust me. But I have faith that they can pull this round.
Because if the comparison keeps going, then they're just going to keep on going down.
And I'm just going to keep wasting my money. I'm going to keep wasting my predictions. But
what is this? Source trust me, bro? Is that
the source is trust me, bro. FNATIC could be good at some point.
The only way.
They've got a good org behind them. They've got good support staff behind them. They've got a team that actually, under Guts Gaming previously, nearly went to the major in Sweden in Stage 3 last year. It can go well for them. They've just not found the missing link.
How long have you been saying that?
Way too long. They're currently, 7th for this stage. I don't think they're much better for the entire season. I think they're 7th or 6th. The only way that FNATIC will be a top half team is if we add twice as many teams. That's the only way I'll see them on the top of the half of the scoreboard. Like, they are playing really poorly, and they have no structure. Well, they do have a structure, but as soon as something goes off the plan, they just have no idea what to do, and the new player haven't made any difference for that.
Oh. Same issues as we've been repeating literally for a stage and a bit now. So we'll see if that comes to fruition at some point. Because like you say, this is the battle for the bottom here in APAC North, and Reject is on the other side, Fabian. Now, Reject have gotten close. They pushed Sandbox to the edge on last Playday. Can they actually cross that threshold today?
Reject, I think, are on the move upwards. They kept the same roster, basically. I mean, they replaced Jack's favorite player, Naughty Meg. But other than that, they haven't done...
Upset me so much.
Yeah, I can't believe it. They've just taken in their subs. So they haven't actually taken anyone from the outside. It's still a player who knows their ins and outs and knows how to play. He even played last stage. So I think that they're moving upwards. They didn't look too bad in the end of the last stage. And they didn't look too bad last Playday either.
I think my worry through stage 1 for this team was that, unlike me, they didn't have a lot of layers. They just had that one layer of just going forwards non-stop. If they start developing the layers, learn to use different win conditions than just taking gunfights, they could be a dangerous team.
Well, then let's see which map we're going to be playing on in this best of 1 series. 9-map pool, 8 are out, 1 is left. And we'll have to last say it'll be, well, the
wrong teams.
We'll just do
That's what happened last series. Theme Park is in, and this is what we got in this one. We're going to go to Clubhouse, a classic here. Cafe Dostoevsky banned out by Reject just before, and Reject starting the attack as FNATIC, having the choice, have opted to go defense. Fabian, your thoughts?
So Clubhouse obviously is a map where it's kind of a 3-3 map right now. It could be even 4-2 in attack. And what we've seen from FNATIC, the previous stage, their attacks on Clubhouse were horrendous. I don't think that the map, I don't think I ever will say that the map leans FNATIC way, because I don't believe in it if I would say it myself. I believe in Reject, and that's where I put my eggs.
I have this as a map that stylistically doesn't suit either team. FNATIC, we say they're a little bit more structured, but then they let things go, which means if they didn't let things go, we'd be saying this is a FNATIC map night and day, because Reject, they don't want to play into that structured 1-2-3-step play style. So I would say, realistically, it's a map that anyone's, there's going to be opportunity for both teams on this map, and it's just about who takes it in the day.
Then what can Reject bring to all of this? No more Naughty Meg, as Jack has felt.
I don't think that No Time GG had that big of an impact when it comes to how they were playing overall. I think that Reject have to rely on their attacks, and I think that FNATIC have to rely on their defenses. Yeah. If FNATIC have really good defense side, they could still very much win this game. But that has been their only strength for the last, 4 months? That's been their only strength. Can you trust on only winning defenses? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not in this meta. Well. Jackers sticking with Reject. Guess the entire desk going with it.
I think I actually predicted FNATIC. Again, trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro. All right, we'll stick with the analogy that you played at the beginning. Yeah,
it's the future.
And it is indeed now. So let's toss it to our casters. Thank you very much, boys. We got Ace and Dash. Take you through it. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Welcome back again for game number 3. Tim, they were talking on the desk about FNATIC here relying on the defences, for Reject about the attacks. The one player that springs to mind for me that we'll keep a very close on today is Salty on Reject. Last week for me, one of the biggest presence creators in the game, taking large parts of land, being lethal on the entry as well. He could be the big determinant in this game to whether Reject can finally climb off the bottom of the table in APAC North.
Absolutely. I mean, if you remember back to last week, I said the game of FNATIC versus Reject this week, whilst early in the stage, you know, it's difficult on Playday 2 to start calling things must-win games, but honestly, for FNATIC, this is must-win.
Yep.
It is as simple as that, because they want to be in a top spot. They want to be fighting for the major, and if they don't get this and they start off with 2 losses, then you know what? They ain't going to be fighting for the major. Simple as that. So, FNATIC, it's time to show us what you can do. They're going to be heading into the ban phase, and they will kick things off as our first banner, and it's going to be the Monty that goes.
Interesting, coming in against Reject there more than anything else as well. I think in the past, Guts have employed the Monty every now and then. Definitely nowhere near as much as their Japanese counterparts in Cyclops did. We all know how much of a beast Anaton is playing on that shield operator, but just taking it away removes the threat. Last week, we did refer to a couple of teams. I think it was Cyclops in particular on their attacks, had 4 or 5 completely different lineups. Things like IQ, Sense, Ying, Monty was in there. You know, you name it, they had a different idea every single round. So this at least removes one of those options. Habana also a good ban here, looking in towards basement, for example, getting those hatches open safely. Well, not really so much safely. You can't really be challenged unless you're inside of the kitchen, but also when you're trying to get walls open in general, being at range is never a bad thing. And a ban we haven't seen for a while in the form of a Maestro too.
Yeah, Maestro, I mean, Maestro is always going to have some value there. You know, has recently become more valuable with Sense being on the board. Of course, the cameras can see through the light screen as much as, you know, it can see through smoke or anything else. Valkyrie going as well, so a real target on the defensive bans towards those intel operators. Valkyrie cams, there's some beauties hidden around Clubhouse, so internal cams, but you can, you know, squirrel them away in kitchen and use them to line up nitros. It can be really, really deadly. So Valkyrie going as well to round things out, and we head into round number 1, which is going to see FNATIC defending down in the basement.
Is indeed. I think that Maestro ban could be a sign in a lean towards a Sens play potentially as well. Let's not forget that Evil Eyes, Bulletproofs, you name it, a lot of things do currently counter the Sens light wall. So if you have the ability to remove one operator that helps you deal with that, well, it again gives you more options and a bit more flexibility on the attacking side to make good use of that gadget. For now, at least, though, simply not present. Instead, Tadaniki hovering over, bringing along the Amaru. Not really the go-to site for it. It's going to change over to the Fuse, which makes a lot more sense. We did see a couple of teams last week employing this. One of them, even on this specific site, used it inside a kitchen to clear back Arsenal, force the defenders away, and use that as their march forward to then push in through dirt. So, keeping that Fuse alive here is a really big deal to clearing out Arsenal.
Chibisu has brought along the Echo, which is always a pick I like to watch. Now, interestingly, I'm sort of only speaking anecdotally here, but Church and Arsenal, I can't remember too many times where I've seen Echo have that sort of round-defining moment here on Church and Arsenal. You know, if we think of Echo sites, I'm thinking like Kitchen on Cafe. You know, how many times have we seen Echo win out Kitchen on Cafe? Time after time after time. But Church and Arsenal, I really have to scratch my head and think a long way back if I want to think of where that operator has been, you know, overly impactful on this bottom.
We've seen it more on bar, really.
Yeah, exactly that. So, again, not saying it won't work, but an interesting one to keep your eye on. We're going to have Tadaniki moving in quickly on the Fuse. He's going to send in some of those Fuse charges down into the blue corridor, looking to clear out utility. We'll get one of the ADSs, yeah. So Yura going to just be forced back a little bit while those hockey pucks come in and clear themselves, but is now slightly less safe with only 50% of the ADS utility.
Yeah, it's the right sort of idea as well, right? Burn through the utility. There's a lot of pellets that come out of those Fuse charges. If you get into an area where there are ADSs, magnets, you are going to chew through them for fun. Tadaniki making use of those Fuse charges. Not Fuse charges. Hard breach charges, more like, to get through one of those hatches as well. So when you haven't got the Habana on side, you do want those alternatives. And looking at it, Tim, actually, no dedicated hard breaches in their lineup, just relying almost exclusively, well, they are relying exclusively on those 4 hard breach gadgets.
Yeah, that's it. And, you know, the hard breach gadget as the secondary option has really given that choice and flexibility to attacking teams, whereby, you know, they can work around things like a Hibana ban quite easily. So Candy, he's going to get the bar hatch open. That should leave just Kitchen, which I think is going to come along very, very soon. We've got the fuse chargers. So interestingly, we're seeing the fuse chargers used for both of or two of their particular jobs there, and that is one to clear utility being used in blue, but then the one on Kitchen is being used somewhat differently. The one on Kitchen is looking to protect them whilst they move in and around that hatch, make sure that there's nobody playing underneath there, move them away. I would have expected to see the hatch open at the same time, because they do potentially leave themselves open to that same attack where Fuse is now going and applying it. So a little bit of a disconnect there maybe.
Ever so slightly, but here's Talaniki looking to drop straight in, hot off the back of this breach coming through. Might find one man for himself. Smoke goes down, inhales a couple of lungfuls, but not enough to take him out. And here comes the push. Reject hit in absolute form at the right time. A 4 versus 1. Yura left standing against the onslaught. It looks to be done and dusted. They know exactly where he is. That call will have come through. And with the plant down, it's all stations panic for the side of FNATIC. Yura finding one more back. It's 2 kills in the round and bringing down that Ray boss that is salty.
Yura's got about 24 seconds left to do something. Window will see him down in the corridor, shuts him down from above. Well played from Reject there, and I've got to say, Des, I don't want to pile on to FNATIC, but if there was ever the first round of a map that could sort of sum up the position of a team right now, for me, it's that first round in FNATIC. They just got overrun. They were just swept away before the tide of Reject rushing into sight there. The hot drop coming in from the Fuse, and it just all fell apart from there. And it just sort of feels like that is symbolic of the wider issues facing FNATIC at the minute, that they're just being swept away.
Think back to our first game of the day as well. That was a very dominating first 4 rounds from Talon against Spear Gaming, where Spear just didn't really have a response. They did get run over time and time again. It looked like they were a punching bag essentially for Talon. And that first round paints the same sort of picture. I'm hoping we're not going to see the same style of 4 rounds going exactly the same way. Hopefully FNATIC can dig in a bit deeper here and find something extra to make sure round 2 at least stays evenly balanced right up until the bell sounds. They are going for a very standard extended hold here. The whole idea being that you hold out towards this east side of the map. You protect that west-facing window inside of CC to make sure the attackers can't make use of this south balcony. Just means that your defenders inside of sight themselves, or at least when you fall back, are in a much more secure spot. So the side of Reject have got a few things to work through here.
Yeah, the first job for FNATIC, really, as you say, is to make sure that they keep in hold of CCTV and servers. It's going to prevent the attackers from playing on those windows and getting pressure directly on into sight. But there is an option for Reject, of course, to just ignore that east side effectively, get themselves Jacuzzi wall open and just push in directly from there. It's never easy, because the problem that you get in doing that is you want to push yourself into Gym to get the diffuser down, but with those holes opened up as line of sight underneath, the players that are on the east side now, they're just going to filter back into construction, and they're just going to shoot you through there, through the soft wall. So that's where it becomes a bit of a problem to ignore the east side.
They're playing really aggressive here as well. You are exposed. If someone's holding this angle, you will struggle to get back across, and maybe he's relying on no one being there for him to dip back out, or just hope that he doesn't get droned. But the issue is, a team like Reject really should be on the drones here. They should know that there is still a man sat inside of that room, that he's still able to challenge the window. If they get bitten by that Aruni, they'll be kicking themselves.
Certainly will. Candy just aware of the potential peak coming out of the dirt tunnel there. If you get to the end of it and you knock out the soft wall, you can see up onto the Jacuzzi breach.
I like the use of the bulletproof here as well, because it does mean actually Lily is supported in that. He's not playing blind on is someone there or are they not. They know definitively if they are. Yura brings down Salty as the Ying starts ringing out, and he was the man who tossed those Candelas in. Couldn't find a kill of his own, but his team have got his back. 2 kills coming in their way. Make it a third as once again Take's going nuclear. Hits 5 across the 2 rounds. We've been here before, Tim. It's Yura left in a 1 versus 3. Another easy shutdown, and Reject win their 2nd round in a row with 3 men still left alive.
We've been exactly there. 1v4 for Yura at the end, and it's Window who gets the final kill. 2-0 Reject, and looking difficult for FNATIC at the minute, because these rounds aren't even kind of close. Reject are getting themselves in. They're moving quickly. They are executing early in the round. There's absolutely no messing about from them. I like what they did there. It was sort of a partial east take. They just sort of wanted to disrupt it, so they got the wall open. They made it difficult for the man over there to be confident moving around CCTV, and it just really restricted them them. And at the same time, make a lot of noise over there whilst you get your execute lined up on the other side.
Absolutely. Really good stuff by Reject so far, making it look pretty easy. And the thing is, they're not having to go and do the full complete steps, right? We were talking about this cash CC hold and how Reject would have to break it. They didn't break it, but got into a spot where they did end up getting slaughtered as they were run over in the last couple of seconds of the round. Outside of that, it was all hands on deck. It was pushing to site, making good use of the Ying. So although Reject are winning rounds here, I do want to stress that they aren't really being pushed by FNATIC yet, and that is what we've got to see change. If FNATIC don't win this round, I'd like to see that timeout coming in the same way Spear Gaming employed it in their first game of the day, and just say, right, boys, it's not going the way we wanted, it's not going to plan, we've got to come up with some new ideas here. What can we do to fix this problem?
I think the thing is, Des, I'm not sure how many new ideas FNATIC have got. You know, they just don't seem to really have many of the answers through stage one. Now it just doesn't seem to really be happening for them. We'll see, obviously, as it progresses. Reject 2-0, and they're going to be attacking onto the basement once again. TaRaNicky this time, interestingly, on the blitz, which would suggest that we're going to see some immediate and quick pressure coming in through dirt here. We've got Take there just waiting to take out a little bit of a barricade there before he goes sprinting down in towards site.
They have no idea at this point as well. Now, they have got to deal with this on the floor. It's very quickly dealt with, and that panic smoke comes out. Good timing, really, as well, coming out from Light to make sure this rush is held back. Otherwise, that blitz would be inside site. There'd be in all panic stations, and everything would fall apart. The thing is now the rest of FNATIC have got to be mindful of what's going on. The flash comes through. The smoke can't see a thing. Take walks in with yet another kill. Another 2K. Someone slow this man down today. Don't call him Take. Call him Tate, because it's all he's doing. Candy was going in for a plant. TaRaNicky on the blitz finds yet another. They've got full control of Arsenal, and Chibisu finding FNATIC's only 2 kills in the round so far is left panicking. What can he do? It's Yura also still left alive in this 2vx situation. Plant goes down, and FNATIC have got to start a big recovery effort.
Candy able to secure that one, had the cover in place, 3v1 now, and it is Chibisu this time left alive, and he's fighting a blitz, and that is not going to be pretty. There comes the flash, there comes the challenge, there comes the kill. TaRaNicky is going to finish things off, and Reject right now, Des, are looking good. 2 plants playing aggressively towards site, really focusing on that objective play, and there is absolutely nothing FNATIC can do to stop this.
They're doing something that other teams would really rip them apart for, which is skipping steps on the checklist, right? We always talk about Clubhouse being a checklist map, and if you haven't heard that before, what it means is Clubhouse is one of those maps where you've kind of got to finish out a bunch of steps. If you're going to get yourself in through dirt, you need someone at the bottom of main stairs to make sure there's no crosses made. You want some pressure coming down blue as well. You want to make sure no one's playing inside deep Arsenal. So for that, you need to get control of kitchen. There's lots of these things that kind of draw up a checklist for you to work through before you can go for the execute, but Reject are doing the whole, you know, pass, go, collect $200, and then complete a full circuit and get to Mayfair, right? It's a full circuit round without having to worry about steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Get straight in sight, make FNATIC panic, and again, FNATIC have not called that timeout. So I'm concerned here, Tim, that we'll just keep on saying the same thing happen, because that's the 3rd round in a row where Reject have ended the round in a 3 versus 1, won that fight, and basically said, look, this round is ours comfortably. You've only killed a couple of us.
Yep, CCTV then will be our next opportunity for FNATIC to turn this around, and you feel that there needs to be a round coming sooner rather than later for them if they're looking towards the longer term of this match, and that's getting themselves, you know, any points out of it. Now is the time that you need to start, because if Reject guarantee themselves the win on the attacking half, they're then looking at, you know, if they get the 4th round here, it guarantees them the win. They're looking at 5-1, 6-0, and for FNATIC, you just don't see that there's a way back from there. Chibisu is going to get himself all the way down to the basement, so he's one to keep an eye on later in the round, but for the time being, the focus is going to be on the East Breach, which Reject will be able to secure as the 2nd EMP goes off. Interestingly, we've got Yura on the Azami out on balcony, just looking to potentially plug that breach with those keeper barricades.
I think he's struggled to do the whole thing as well, quite big, because the fact it's an exothermic, again, where thermite quite handy here. Other things like a Hibana or an Ace, not really making a big enough hole, so the Azami can patch those back up. In this case, Yura sidesteps and gets the west-facing window, which is pretty crucial. If someone has now moved away from that window, they know that's a pretty secure spot for them to not have to worry about. So he can play a little more freely here on that catwalk, because he's also got support from Lily on the downstairs. So FNATIC have got a good setup here around the garage. but it is a strong commitment inside a garage.
It is, and that's something that Reject likely are going to have to deal with if they want to push in from that breach. But the looks of things at the minute is like there could be a little bit of a west side take mountain here. We've got Candy, we've got Taki, we've got Salty, all working across from that side of the map, bringing plenty of utility with them, including an exothermic charge, which can open up that construction wall. Salty just going to open up logistics to give the angle into sight through the door, and FNATIC might just find themselves pulled pillar to post in a moment.
They should know about this, and the hard thing is it's difficult for Lily to now move away because he's providing so much support to Yura. Chibisu has stepped out of playing in lounge and now moved upstairs, and they've got no control of nades coming in from below. The whole reason they were looking to play down there. In comes Tadaniki, and Yura finds a great opener as well, shuts him down on that window that was blocked off earlier by the Izami. So that was sort of their Hail Mary play. My only concern being Tadaniki has moved there really before the rest of the team was ready. They're still playing below. They're still playing to get set up on a construction side push, so potentially just a little bit out of time there with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think potential for Reject to learn a little bit of a lesson about the importance of garage here. Even if you're going to avoid it and go for a west-sided take, you still really need to be thinking about dealing with garage because it can be deadly. Chibisu's going to get the kill onto Take, does get downed in the process, but Yura manages to find Salty and leaves FNATIC now in a 5 versus 2. I don't think they're going to be too worried about the loss of Chibisu, but Window gets in and gets a double. Can't keep his life though as Lily shuts him down. It's all up to Candy inside a site. 1v3 becomes 1v2. 17 seconds and Lily finds the Nitro. That's going to close out the round, and FNATIC finally get themselves on the board.
A little bit scrappy towards the end, but again, that setup from FNATIC I think was just really, really smart. Control lounge, control garage. You essentially force them to all have to come in from construction side. And there was this kind of weird tangle around stock where, yes, you had the Iana coming in underneath and chucking nades up from below. That challenge didn't really come in too aggressively from Chibisu. He didn't want to get caught out from stock, for example. So, sure, damage was attempted, but it wasn't really committed enough by Reject. I think a few more nades coming in on stock side to really soften them up from below would have been smart. But even then, the player inside of Cash was making use of the table to stay safe. So it was just good consideration for FNATIC of all the things that could come in by Reject. They were forced to go quite one-directional, and FNATIC had it covered.
Going to be Gym and Bedroom then for round number 5. 2 defensive rounds left for FNATIC, and if they can get away with a 3-3 here, you feel like it's an absolute steal for them. They've just not been competitive in the first 3 rounds, but then controlled site really, really well for round 4 and did a great job of keeping hold of those key areas. Reject then, last time around, they pretty much attacked onto the Jacuzzi side. They were very keen to get the diffuser down. They used the Incandelas to support them. That's not something that they're going to have on side this time. They dealt with that east-sided hole by basically opening up the reinforcements on the east breach, and that was enough, they felt, to leave those players at least feeling exposed and not able to fully peek onto the window.
Absolutely. I think for me it was just a sudden blitz in towards site that needs to be stopped here. And to a level, they've got the Razor Balloon, they've got the Laser Gates, Frost Mats. You know, there are things being brought into consideration here, almost falling off their window. Also some consideration given to the fact they've got those wee-woos, as Fresh would call them, from light being dropped around the map. Just gives them that little indication of when a push is coming through. So for Reject, they've got questions to ask. Do we try and repeat the same as last time, in which case you haven't got the Yings, so it's not quite the same as before, or do you go for that full map clear out towards the east?
Well, I'm glad that that's an angle that we're going to be seeing in Ranked any day now. Just getting an interesting...
I tell you what, I cannot wait to be constantly rezzing people because they miss and fall off.
Yeah, that's going to be the next one. That's going to be the next one. You're going to have a lot of control window showing that ability to be able to keep himself in there, but it does give an interesting angle in towards the little cubby of logistics there. So then work continues as we start seeing those reinforcements burnt away. Candy's going to be heading towards construction wall as well, so certainly more attention being paid to that east side this time around. Not playing directly into it, but by Candy opening up that wall, the hope is that you feel like the FNATIC players get cut off then and they have to make a move in towards site.
So that's what they're going for at this point. With that wall being opened up, it puts a little bit of pressure in towards construction, starts to limit the movements of the defenders somewhat. They've got that Logi kind of cut ready. They've got Chibisu hanging just off towards the right here as well, waiting for the drop or the push in. So in a way here, he's controlling 2 angles at once. As long as they... And there's no way they can be. I was going to say, as long as they're conscious that Window is holding this angle, they have no real need to push any further forward than they are. If Window gets a kill from there, that'll be a painful first experience, but it should be the last.
1 minute 10 left to go. Nade goes in from Salty. Not going to find anybody as Yura dips himself into bedroom. Salty heading onto the jacuzzi breach now, and Reject need to get moving here. They were a lot more aggressive and made a lot more progress last time around. Taraniki just finding Lily inside Cash. So 5v4, that's the advantage then to Reject, but what can they do with it now? Chibisu still holding an important position, just preventing that logistics drop and just really controlling that side of the map.
Still so much gadgetry online as well. This is the issue, right? Sure, those nade kills from below have come in, you found a second, but there's a lot of gadgets left on the field. This is what I was speaking about for Reject, about them skipping points on the checklist. It feels here that they can't quite get the checklist done. Light's going to go aggressive here. Did anyone hear the sound? No, they did not. Finds one, finds two. Light with potentially the 2 kills that shut this round down now, because I don't think there's anyone else there to recover the diffuser, Tim.
Nope, Light is going to shut down Taraniki as well, which leaves Take moving up those rear stairs. Window with an important kill after dropping logistics. Hatch though manages to get Light. 2v2, 2v1 as Take gets his man. It could be left to come down to kills, and there's the final battle. Window onto Chibisu. You feel if Chibisu manages to win that battle on the doorway, maybe, just maybe, FNATIC can grab that round, but no, ultimately another good performance from Reject there, this time finding themselves a scrappy round and still getting the win. 4-1 now.
Yeah, I mean, for Light to get a 3k there out towards Jim and onto Breach, that shuts down the entire west side of your attack, but the last 2 remaining members managed to pull it back from that 3 versus 2 down to the 1v2 and get the win. It again goes back to what I said, though, after round 3. Yes, Reject are winning, but it doesn't feel particularly clean. They're missing key steps here. They're not quite playing Siege the way that most of the teams would in terms of the utility clear and forcing roamers back towards site. At about the 45-second mark, you still had 2 or 3 FNATIC players out towards Cash CC side. So it's not clean, but it's still getting wins against a team that so far is struggling to hold it together on these defenses.
FNATIC then probably going to be kicking themselves after round 5. There's a real opportunity, but for those lost gunfights inside of sight. 1-4 they trail now on the board, and they're going to be heading into their final defence. Round 6, it's going to be back down to Church and Arsenal, a site that they've played twice and lost twice, and they've lost it in different ways, which is a bit of a problem for them. We've seen Reject utilise a number of attacks to get themselves into Church and Arsenal. We've seen them successfully plant the diffuser as well, and FNATIC, for me, I think, get out in the map a little bit. Just get aggressive, you know, play into Reject and try and find some gunfights, try and win some gunfights and cut their numbers down.
I think here you're looking towards the fuse once again, right? We saw this earlier on, just dropped all around site, especially in Arsenal, just to make sure the players that were in there were slowly being forced back and away. I got a comment as well. I spoke about Take early on, 7 kills after 3 rounds, I think it was. Salty, the man who I was saying, watch out for this man, makes a lot of space, makes a lot of presence, has been quiet this game. He's only sat on 1 and 5. Now, you can't be amazing every single play day, and admittedly on days when his team haven't been very good, he has been the standout player for them. So if on days where they're playing well, it's others getting in the mix, looking towards Taraniki and Window and Take on that side of things, you aren't going to complain if he has 1 or 2 bad games.
No, absolutely not. Like you say, you know, this is a team game and it's all about people being able to step up maybe when others aren't quite as able to put the numbers down as they might normally. Now, importantly there, we've had 2 slowing gadgets taken out, the Banshee and the Barbed Wire, which is just going to free up Blue Tunnel a little bit, Blue Corridor. The second fuse all being used in the same spot, so we'd expect the third one to go in from Kitchen if it continues in that trend, just going in towards the rear boxes of Arsenal in and around Ash Rush spot, and then that will allow them to get in and clear out that hatch. But right now, Reject, they are back to plan number 1 and they are progressing well.
You really want one as you go for the push in, I think, on that deep Arsenal side, right out towards the west of Arsenal, because that is when you know a player either has to run at you and take a gunfight in the open, or they stay there and die to the explosives. So I think one of those being held on for when the push does come through is critical. And in fact, you can see him now moving in towards Kitchen, which is kind of the sign they're looking for. But I don't think too many members of the team are really ready to make the push here, but they should get rid of a bit of gadgetry. I think they got rid of the Banshee that was inside a site there as well, so a good point on that front. They've removed away a couple of magnets too. They've got rid of the Goyo canister critically. That's the sort of thing they were looking for. Now they're out of charges, it turns to the others to make a play happen.
Yeah, the Fuse doing a fantastic job of clearing away utility. We're going to see Window dumping in some nades here, see if he can catch anybody. It just hits the box. Light gets away with one there. If that throw is just a little bit cleaner, then Light maybe loses his life. Instead, it's just half health for him, and he will continue fighting inside of Church. 33 seconds left to go and Reject. They're poised, they're ready, they know that the drop is on its way. Salty is going to find the first onto Seal. Viru. That's going to be the F2 doing some work and getting him a kill. 5 versus 4. 20 seconds left to go. Window looking to get aggressive here. He's pushing down the corridor. I'm not sure if he's going to be allowed to get away with this. He's not going to find anybody inside of Arsenal there, but he just walks into Church. He gets one. He can't find two as Light shuts him down, but the kills come in everywhere else, and they all go to Reject, and FNATIC are left reeling inside of Church and Arsenal on the wrong end of a 5-1 half.
It's like playing 2 minutes and 30 seconds of Siege and then 30 seconds of Deathmatch, right? It's a good multifaceted push coming in from the side of Reject as well. They had Take coming down blue stairs, Iana at the bottom of main stairs. They had Salty working his way through dirt. It was multiple things all coming together, and that aggressive play out of the Iana again just tore through the gap in the armor on the side of FNATIC and gets them the win. But prior to that, I was really nervous about that 30-second mark, that they just simply wouldn't have everything together to get the win. They'd used the gadgetry, things were a little bit separate. The only thing they had left in back pocket was 2 smokes, and I thought that's not really going to be enough to make this one work, boys. But by hook or by crook, they still find the kills they need, get the round win, a 5-1 half. FNATIC have got to do something really special on the attack, and like they were saying on the desk, their attacking record, Tim, it ain't quite the best.
It's not, but I think it's only fair, if we're talking about records, to mention Reject's defensive record, which isn't always the best. It certainly wasn't last week against Sandbox. So, Reject, this is where you need to show your growth. This is where you need to show some improvement, and we need to start seeing you locking down defences as well as the attacks. 5-1 it is at present. We're going to be on Reject's first defence here, and it's going to be down in Church and Arsenal. By contrast to FNATIC's defences, Reject are out in the map. Couple of players up on the top floor, including the Pulse of Salty. They've got the drop downs, they've got the castles in play. This is a commitment to a whole map hold.
It's again another variation on the SSG round that we were all used to seeing a couple of years ago here. Normally you'd see like a Vigil, a Mute, a Mozzie and a Castle. Here you're just seeing 2 of those coming through because they want more utility on site. The Alibi is kind of doubling up as a go-to roamer, I'd expect as well. But the thing is, it's going to make FNATIC have to burn utility, time, drones, trying to push their way through this top floor. They've already lost 3 of those drones, so really now you're turning in towards Euro and saying, look, Mute jammers ahoy, go and get rid of some of those jammers if you can, get rid of the players up on the top floor, let's get this cleared out so we can worry about sight. But timing is going to be everything.
1 minute in, and they have got the jacuzzi wall open and can start working across the top.
I really thought he was going to have a shoot.
We have the benefit of those beautiful outlines, and sometimes you do just get those those intake of breath moments where somebody puts themselves across the window. Chibisu manages to react quickly there as Salty goes to challenge with the shotgun to take out the barricade in one. And I don't know if maybe just a spray down with the UMP instead might have been more effective, but it's all in hindsight. That's an opening kill for FNATIC and something they can start to build up.
Wouldn't be APAC if it wasn't without a shotgun, Tim. It's got to have one on at least someone. We saw Bandit earlier on today. We've seen Jaeger historically. Now it's Pulse as well. Just keep on lining them up. Why not at this point? Take looking to find a couple of kills at the top of red here, or at least try and slow FNATIC down, and doing okay so far. Window still holding inside of bar as well, is aware that now there's some pressure starting to come down those main stairs. They've got a choice to make here. Back away towards site or keep on going for the fight. Both Take and Kande are low. It's not looking great. And now Window's out the board.
As I suggested, Reject struggle on the defence sometimes, and it looks like that is continuing. 3 versus 5 and still a minute left for FNATIC to go, so their fortunes certainly seeming to turn around. Tadaniki, as you say, on the shotgun again, looking to challenge on those main stairs, but Yura well aware that this challenge could be coming in and well prepared for it. He's just going to hold this position. As I say, FNATIC really not in any rush at the minute. 40 seconds, 5 versus 3. They've got access into sight. They can wait for the perfect moment.
They've got so much utility as well. The only thing slowly starting to work against them is time here. They've got the numbers advantage. They've got a massive health advantage. Take and Kande are a bullet away from death. So unless they pull off some absolute miracle here, FNATIC should be able to get things going. First concussion comes in. Little did he know an impact would have finished off the player there as well, given he was so low, but not going to burn that through. Down goes a nade. They're still getting to work. Tim, we're in that last 10 seconds. They've got to make it work now.
This is it. FNATIC have to push. We've seen the drop into Moto. They're going to be running into shotguns. Could be a problem. They continue trying to push. push. They need to get
No
this kill.
way.
He keeps going
No.
wild, but no, Taraniki shut down eventually by Yura, and FNATIC managed to take their first attack, and that might just signal that we could be going a lot deeper into this game than we might have originally expected if Reject can't start finding these defences.
If the other last man for Reject there stayed on his feet, hidden away, for example, that could have been enough. He got 2 kills, one onto the diffuser carrier and the second man that was playing for the trade. You may have seen FNATIC scramble, pick up that diffuser and get it down in the literal last couple of seconds, but my God, would it have been tight. Reject's going to try bar and stage, so clearly enjoying playing out in the map here. They had that roam in the last round. Now they're going to that ground floor site that normally requires you play upstairs as well. Really looking to spread their wings a little bit here, do a couple of different things, and keep FNATIC with a lot of mini games to work through early in the round.
It is certainly going to be mini games. I'm not sure about this site, if I'm honest. If they struggle with Church and Arsenal, I feel for Reject that you maybe take something a little bit more tried and tested, a little bit more secure, but they're going to be looking to hold on to the top floor. They want to control construction in particularly. There's where the hatch is that looks down onto stage, looks down towards that plant spot, so that is going to be a key area. They've got that reinforced off. There are, of course, other options for the attackers. They can push in, take control of Strip and move into the billiards side of site and look to get the diffuser down over there, but that's usually easily challenged from main stairs, which is a bit more of a difficult area to clear out. So we'll see which FNATIC choose to do, but initially, as a default, I would expect Reject to start trying to hold on to construction.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know that this top floor is going to be a very pivotal part of this defense. That's absolutely where FNATIC should direct their attention to begin. It's kind of similar to what you see for a normal gym hold as well, where, you know, getting control of the south balcony is a pretty critical one. You as defenders can't really afford to do a full extend out towards that side of things, so you kind of give it up and just play on this narrow side. But Take is out there right now. I don't think he's taken a bunch of reinforcements out there with him. Maybe a couple onto the east-facing wall. There is one on the single, so okay, nope. The double wall leading out towards platform isn't reinforced, and neither is the one between sites themselves. So it's a little bit shallow in terms of a defense, but it's still that threat of, well, the window's open. What if someone does play there? And FNATIC again have got to go and deal with that.
Chibisu going to be holding an angle on into CCTV. Just trying to cut off rotates, I think. If they can get these defenders moving on the top floor, and they've got people in position there to be able to cut them down as they move across windows, it is going to be super effective for the time being. Nade goes in, going to clear out that keeper barricade and just open up the angle into logistics. But FNATIC are moving very, very quickly across the top floor at the minute.
A little bit worrying there as well, that nade had come through and bounced at the wrong time onto Yura as he was kind of their entry pushing through. I always love seeing drones and yokais running around. You need to add shock drones to the mix and you really get a game of Robot Wars on the go. But that yokai just about managing to escape and get away will go back down towards bar and stage, and I imagine lock itself up in the rafters, ready for when the execute does come through. Taka here on the push up. He's joining up by Salty here, so potentially 2, if not 3 players starting to look at what damage they can do. Another keeper barrier coming through. I like the placement of that one on the table as well, just completely blocking off this angle.
That's it. We're seeing surfaces used in Siege that have never really been, you know, much other than decoration. You know, a thin area like that wouldn't have been much use. Take is not aware here of Yura, who just beautifully plays it inside of construction, just in behind the lumber there, keeps himself out of dodge and manages to find himself a double onto Salty and Take. Top floor control for FNATIC, 50 seconds left to go, but they start losing men. Window and Candy manage to find 2 back, 3 versus 3.
Chibisu's got the cut off here as well, playing around Paul. He can see everything. Candy has got to be so careful. I don't think he's even aware the man is playing in just below. Will he see him? There we go. Yes, he does, and finds the head, snaps it shut. Down goes Light. They've got the big numbers advantage. Candy is on one today, stepping himself up here with a big 3K in the round. The team looking good once again, and that close him to getting up to match point.
It's all a bit of a war between Take and Yura at the minute. 12 kills and 11 between the two of them, one on either side, and the battle is certainly going in the favour of Reject at the minute because their supporting cast is doing a much better job than that on the side of FNATIC. 7 seconds left to go, and Seru's just looking for kills. Can't find one as it's that man again. Candy, who comes in, takes the victory in round number 8 and leaves now 6-2 on the scoreboard in favour of Reject. 1 round away from taking 3 points.
I think stepping into that site, like you said at the start as well, was an interesting choice, right? Why not go to one of the more tried and tested? But I think they smelt the blood in the water in round 7. FNATIC a little bit slow here. Let's give them something to think about by getting out in the map again, wasting their time as best we can. Just felt Reject were a little bit chaotic, a little bit too aggressive potentially in their own game. When they had 2-3 players pushing up red and looking to sweep their way through construction, you know there's a pretty good chance by that point that FNATIC had got someone on construction window, or even worse, inside construction itself, as they found out, just waiting for you to try that kind of air quotes retake of the top floor and the hatches. So a good read by FNATIC, but ultimately cannot get the business done. They've got a long hill to climb once again, Tim. It's 6-2. That's 4 rounds to recover, and then you've got to carry on doing it in overtime. I'll be shocked if they pull through here.
I'm interested to see what's going to happen here, Des. We've got half of the east breach not reinforced, left soft, and the top and bottom of it gunned out. We've seen similar down in Garage, just providing footholds along the bottom so you can challenge in through that soft wall if you choose to. But more interesting is that east breach. Looking at the attacker lineup, Chibisu's got Zofia. That's an instant open. There's going to be absolutely no way that you can keep that closed. It does mean that you choose the side of the breach at least. You know, that's something, and that's not normally the side that you would necessarily go for. You want it bang centre or maybe off to the left, but still an interesting one.
I like it because what they're doing is playing behind the keeper barriers. There's one much deeper in between the doorway between Cash and CC, and they're playing in behind that. So that's sort of their reliance in saying, okay, we can afford to leave this open because we've got things to play behind. Same as this barrier here, means you can't get challenged from the garage door super easily. I like the idea, but you've then got to be able to actually pull it off, which is some of the concern that I've got. Here already one's gone down. Eura's having a great day at 12-6 as well, worth stressing. Sadly, the rest of the team has still got to play a bit of catch-up though.
Chibisu does get the opener, takes down Taraniki. That's going to be the rook gone. Not really a huge loss of utility or anything, so not the end of the world for Reject. They can still certainly get themselves through this round, and they're being halted the progress of FNATIC here on the west side, but Light manages to find Salty, and that leaves us now 5 versus 3. And Reject, I wasn't too keen on the defence when I saw the setup, and I gotta say the performance so far has not sold me on it.
Yeah, I mean, the Azami dying behind a barrier as well, that's a real kicker because you're relying on those positions to be powerful until they're cleared out. But if you're over peaking or being flanked on the side or not, or hit from the side, sorry, where you don't really expect it, it's almost like we said about Sens as well, where you rely too much on that utility to get the job done for you, but it's just lazy because it means players can then capitalise by finding other ways around it. So Candy here has got to keep his back against this wall out of fear of that west main window working against him.
Light's going to take a little bit of damage. Ooh, the catwalk player just exposing himself there. Take just showing a little bit too much. Lucky to not get headshot at 3 versus 5. 1 minute 15 left to go, and FNATIC are starting to close in on site. We can see there's a couple of drones out at the minute just trying to locate those final defenders, but in comes a nade and forces Candy back onto the bomb chassis. The drone will spot him out, not going to have an opportunity to take that one down. Knows he's likely to be challenged from the window. Unlucky not to find a headshot there, but the pressure is really mounting for Reject.
And so it should. It's a 5v3 with like 75 seconds to play. FNATIC have to win this round. This is theirs on a platter. A golden one being served up by Reject. It's a 1 versus 5. Candy left standing. He ain't quite the Candy man today, Tim. It's a flawless round coming out for FNATIC.
FNATIC finding their 3rd round, but the problem that they face is still the same. 3 more rounds of match point against them. Reject only need to find 1 successful defence here, and I'm expecting they either considerably change the hold that they're going to use on CCTV, or they will choose to go somewhere else. It looks like they're going to be heading back down to the basement. Church and Arsenal, they lost that back in round number 7. FNATIC able to get the win, so again, I'd like to see Reject adapt a little bit and mix things up. They played the Pulse on the top floor last time. That's not going to be the case here. We'll see how much they commit to that top floor now that they don't have the castle on side.
It was close, mind you, back in round 7 as well. It kind of came down to that mad little blitz towards the end as we saw around the church wall. So yes, FNATIC got it over the finish line, but there were mistakes being left, and even with like about 65 seconds to go, it still looked dicey towards the end. Now they've kind of ramped into it a bit. They've got 2 of the last 3 rounds. This is where FNATIC have got to start getting a feel for Reject. Start building up towards that 3-round comeback. We mentioned that 6-2 is a big hill to climb. They're taking that first step, but still a long way to go.
That shotgun's ridiculous for remodelling the walls.
I thought you were about to say ridiculously loud. I was going to say, yeah.
Salty going to town on the walls there, just creating those rotates in between sites. The Kiba barricade being deployed as well. That's an interesting one. So opening up the wall, deploying the Kiba barricade, and it's just giving cover on both sides of the wall as well. Fascinating positioning there. We're seeing more and more of that sort of, and I think as the months go on, we will see continued creative uses as teams have more time to get in and just experiment a little bit with where they can put them.
I like the Reject have used the Azami quite a bit and have come up with some good ideas for it as well. I like the angles they're blocking off. Okay, look, like execution hasn't been perfect. That spot inside of CC wasn't the strongest. He did get taken out. We saw Candy being naded there as well. West Main just too strong a point, or West Window, sorry, too strong a point to be able to challenge onto it. But again, I like the experimentation. My concern with the downstairs, or I guess a lighter concern, is it can be exposed to West Main. It can be exposed to being hit from above. But if you've got the magnets in there in the same way FNATIC did when they were defending, it will be a bit harder to get rid of that barricade. That's why we had Reject bringing along the fuse to help clear through all of those magnets. Oh dear.
That's an absolute freebie. There's no other way of putting it. Take goes straight out of the blue window, is able to take down Chibisu, who was on his drone at the garage door. You've got to leave yourself somewhere a little bit safer than that. I know it sounds very critical, but you stood in the complete open. If there's any information being fed in, if there's even a guess that you might not be able to defend yourself, that's exactly what's going to happen. And the frustrating thing for Chibisu there, Des, is that he's about 3 feet away from safety. If he takes 2 steps forward, down the side of that garage door, that run out cannot happen.
I'm sure he'll learn his lesson here, but it may well be the last chance he gets to put it into practice. This electro core perfectly timed. Hatch going to stay closed at least for now, take it back off again and just sit and wait. It's that cat and mouse guessing game, Tim.
And it was played fantastically by the Kaid there. It's going to mean that one exothermic that is left in pocket now becomes even more valuable. We don't have any other hard breach options on the side of FNATIC, so it really is now which hatch do you want open?
You've got the choice on the Maverick as well, which I guess is okay if you have the Kaid on side, and they should be able to get things done through there. We go in about a canister and a half. It's been opened up. The thing is the difficulty in trying to use the exothermic in kitchen is potentially going to be impacts coming in from below, and that's exactly what Salty's looking for. Just barricades his back up and uses that time to run across. I wonder if they know about this. I'm not 100% sure they do. Maybe estimating a little bit too keenly there that there might be the exothermic down. It's all about timing here from that last impact.
That's the big factor. It's the time here, as I say. You know, when I refer to no hard breach, it's really, have you got time to start Mavericking? And you don't know, as it's 3 versus 2 effectively with Salty down and out, but with 20 seconds left to go and no real access into sight, this is all going to come down to just trying to run in through doorways, and that is going to be a problem for FNATIC. This could well be their last round here, as Reject are on their way to picking up 3 points, 10 seconds away as the push continues. Yura trying to use that Kiba barricade to his advantage, but as the clock ticks down, there's no need to peek, Reject. Keep yourself away. Siru thinking about getting the diffuser down, but there will be no opportunity as the kills come in and Reject get the win. And what was a must-win FNATIC round and match is now lost and gone. Another 3 points that will not be theirs.
You have to feel bad for FNATIC as an organisation as well. They've had a real tough few years playing in APAC North, but at this point, after that loss to Reject, you're now fighting for one of those bottom 2 places in the competition, right? I'm not at all trying to say Reject are a terrible team, but last stage, they were dead last. They had a lot to learn. They've shown they can grow. FNATIC look like they're struggling with that. And I understand, right? Syria was kind of a stand-in for them. They haven't got their full roster with Mag. Understandable that it's not going to be everything they want, but you've got to be doing better than that against one of the weaker teams here in APAC North.
Absolutely, and this is why I said it was must-win for FNATIC. It was about sending a message as well as about putting points on the board, and you've got to look at it, and if they're not going to beat Reject, are they going to beat Damwon Kia? No. Are they going to beat Sandbox? Very unlikely. So now you've already there, I've just named, you've got 4 games that you've lost out of 7.
Yeah.
You know, that is a big problem for FNATIC.
Fun fact about the 7 rounds that Reject won as well, only one of them didn't have 3 players left alive at the end. So it wasn't even like a real close, oh, it was a 1v1 clutch. No, they were quite confidently winning the vast majority of those rounds. Sure, some were a little bit scrappy. It was messy siege, but at the end of the day, it's a win for Reject. A well-deserved 3 points and a good start for them to their APAC North campaign. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, the desk will break it down for you.